Well, it almost took 50 years, but we finally have another Kenner Cantina action figure. Weird, right? Hey guys, welcome back to Spector Creative. I'm Toy Guru Neitlich, your host, longtime toy collector and toy maker, giving this channel a bit of a unique voice. Today, reviewing and talking about, well, things that fall off my desk. No, this guy, this Target exclusive retro collection box, which, gosh, I was apparently lucky and blessed enough to actually find on shelf, which is apparently shocking. And that's part of the story too. Let's dive in. All right, so what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about a group of new, Star Wars action figures in retro style. I'm just grabbing like a whole bunch. These aren't all just the ones from the box. But, retro figures. The ones that look like the characters we had as a kid. They're reproductions. So here's my original Walrus Man with lots and lots of love over the years. And here's the new one. Virtually the same. I mean, you can see the... we got some eye issues on this one here, but I don't know if that's coming across on screen or not. Either way, I'm excited to have a new Ponda Baba, new Walrus Man. I'm excited to finally get a Sand Trooper, another Luke. It's crazy. A Rebel Fleet Trooper after all those years. All right, so why is this both weird and cool? So previously, all of the retro releases have been more or less reproductions of previous figures. We've had a few. We've had Tarkin here, and where is she? Mon Mothma. So we've kind of got a sprinkling of characters that sort of should have been in the original Kenner line, but never would. I mean, yeah, Tarkin was the main villain. I mean, granted, he didn't have a giant helmet and a breathing problem, but I mean, he was the one responsible for blowing up Alderaan. He's on the poster. So, yeah, very, so it was kind of odd. Yeah, I mean, well, it's not odd. It makes sense from a toy perspective. What kid is going to want, an old man in a gray suit? It's very boring compared to, Darth Vader is a lot more exciting of a character. Hence why people think of him as the villain and not him. All right, not that Vader isn't a villain. But, all right, so we're getting characters that we should have had, and some people say, like, oh, yeah, this sort of picks up right where Kenner left off, and other people are like, no, this is just weird shit. I like them. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's not my least favorite. I mean, it's cool to have a new Luke. I think it's interesting, like, comparing Luke's, oh, look, he changed his hair color halfway through the movie, and his style. But I think this one has a really nice kind of 1970s hair look. It's got that, British racing jacket that they also used on Ponda Baba, though not on the Kenner figure. Yeah, Cantina Luke, or Yavin Luke and Ponda Baba are wearing the same jacket. It's a British racing jacket from 1974. We've got some interesting things, like how, Han famously had his, hand in, shooting pose, and so does the new Han. And again, new head. They didn't just, reuse the head, because each figure, unlike Power of the Force 2, did get new heads. So this is basically one thing that I've been on saying for years. I wish Hasbro would, put out recreations of the original figures and sprinkle in some characters that we never had in, the Kenner line. Especially when Funko and Reaction, Super 7 was, Super 7 Funko were putting out those Reaction figures a few years ago, although they made them with the wrong kind of plastic. The plastic was really hard and brittle, which is, I think, a big reason they didn't catch on, versus, even these reproductions have that same, kind of soft, bendy, tactile feel. Tactile feel is so important to toys. And speaking of things that you hold in your hand and the importance, I have a new book out, The Nile Quest. Real action adventure Indiana Jones, real life, historic, awesome, non-stop thrills. Is perfect for planes and pools and anywhere else you'd want to read. It's the story of Richard Burton and John Hanning Speke marching into Africa looking for the source of the Nile, a mystery that had been around for thousands of years. And It's an amazing story. It's available on Amazon now. The Nile Quest. Check it out for all your summer reading needs. All right, so back to the other tactile feel, figures. So yeah, when you pick up a vintage or Kenner figure, it does. It has a very different feel from a modern figure. Here, let's go Leia to Leia here. All right, yeah, I mean, you can tell, it's got a very different feel. And these figures also evolved. They originally started with this vinyl, and then by the time of Return of the Jedi, whoa, there goes Luke. They were getting, soft goods here. Let's see if I can get his cloak back on. Boop, there we go. So, there was an evolution in style. So I always think of, these figures as, these would be, Power of the Force 1 releases, right, in 1985, which is why I had a big problem with the original Mandalorian release that had the vinyl from the 1970s, because by the end of the line, vinyl was replaced. So I felt like these figures should be, like just moving forward. Like, let's see, where it is. Do I have him here? There's Boba Fett. Oh, there we go. So yeah, so this Mandalorian, the second release, got cloth instead of the original release had the vinyl. So yeah, this makes it much more in line with where the line was logically going in 1985. So, and yeah, we're getting characters that we never had. We're getting, Han in Stormtrooper gear, which we only had Luke. A sand trooper. We've been waiting for that. Kind of looks almost exactly like the drawing, too, on that original cardboard Kenner Cantina set. I thought that was actually a pretty cool nod. And the backpack is also very much kind of like Dengar's. So I thought that was pretty neat. I mean, his head does pop right off. They forgot to put the glue. They forgot to glue it. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, ooh, the head turns. No, it doesn't turn. It comes off. I might glue that on. Who knows? But, in our Rebel Trooper, although oddly the box little thing is on the wrong side, but I wonder if that's kind of playing into the whole Kenner figures weren't exactly movie accurate. Like the way, Boba Fett had his antenna like sculpted into the helmet halfway up, so it wouldn't just be hanging there, even though they did kind of do that on the new Boba Fett. But anyway, the point being is, yeah, how many Imperial Death Star troopers had to be customized and die in order for this figure to finally wait to get this guy. So, it's great to get new ones. What's weird about this box, like I said, is that it's, with the exception of Ponda or Walrus Man, they're all new characters, which we've never gotten before. Like I said, we've just gotten a sprinkling previously. So, and we've gotten characters from the Disney Plus, and we've gotten characters from prequels in the style, which is, all wonderful for those who collect that. I only collect classic trilogy. It's how I managed to not go broke with my toy collecting by having rules. But, the other interesting thing about this set is that it came in, a box. We got all 6. Now, I have mixed feelings about this because I like being able to get, I wanted all 6 figures and I was able to buy them in one purchase, which is great. I didn't have to hunt them down. Imagine if these were single releases, someone got there before me and, grabbed the Dr. Evazan, right? And then I got 5 out of 6. Doesn't that drive us crazy? Because it means that now we have to find another store that has all of them out there, or just Dr. Evazan, in order to complete my collection. The nice thing about having a box set like this, is you get them all at once. I would honestly subscribe to a program like this. If Hasbro would do something like, we did back in the Matty Collector Day, and I knew every month I was going to get another shipment of, vintage original trilogy figures. I would totally sign up for that. Even though I will say, I'm trying to find them, but, the figures all had kind of like little marks on them. They already had, like Ponda Baba is the best example. Like I said, his eyes are like really wonky. So I probably would have, flipped through a few Ponda Babas, Walrus Men, to find one I really liked. So that's the one thing you don't get when you get a box set like this, is you don't get the opportunity to find the perfect paint apps, which we like doing. It's but you kind of gave that up when we started buying things on Amazon and Big Bad Toy Store, didn't we? Because that kind of went away. Once you're not shopping at retail, then, you give up that ability to find that perfect figure. So, yeah, there were a couple paint scuffs in the package. Like, you probably can't even tell anymore, but there was like a little scuff here, but I covered that with some Sharpie. So, Yeah, you know, nothing that's the end of the world, but I do like my figures to come out of the package perfect. I mean, the fact that they're already scuffed up in package, and Ponda Bob had those crazy eyes. So that brings to the final point, is how hard this set was to get. So originally it was supposed to be released on May 4th for, you know, National Star Wars holiday, and it didn't, and everyone had their online orders canceled. It didn't show up in store, even though there was a tag for it, and then the tag went away, and then suddenly, the first week of June, all the Target stores got one shipment, and that's it. And it got put online very briefly, and then off. Now it's no longer skewed. It was part of an end cap for May 4th, but it's not. There's no tag for it in the main line, which means Target probably just got that one shipment. So we'll probably see this reissued to Entertainment Earth or Big Bad Toy Store in a year or so. You know, much like the Return of the Jedi set. So I kind of feel lucky that I found one on shelf. I actually found one, and I went there at 9 o'clock at night, which was crazy. I was just picking up paper towels, and I was like, I better go down to the toy aisle just in case. And boom, lo and behold, one box was sitting there, and I was like, zoink, mine. So yeah, I feel very lucky to have found this set, and you know, I'm happy with it. I would like to see them finish the 92 in this style before they're doing, you know, all these other characters. You know, I envision maybe doing like a droid set, you know, throw, you know, 2-1B and FX7 and you know, R5 in there, and, you know, you could do, or a bounty, well, now they've already released the bounty hunters. There's like an Ewok set would be a great way to get all the Ewoks out. So that would be cool. I just hope they don't do Simalu, the Imperial Dignitary, in Kenner style before they do him in the Vintage Collection, because that would just be, you know, knife to the throat. And then, as I've said for years, I would love to see, and it looks like they're doing more and more Kenner, or Hasbro figures, decoed like Kenner figures, like they did with this Boba Fett here. So, and they're doing that with Hammerhead and Ponda Baba and Snaggletooth and Greedo in that upcoming Hasbro Pulse set that went on sale and sold out in like 2 minutes. So we'll probably see that one also on Entertainment Earth in a year when they run a second wave, or second production. So yeah, there were a lot of ups and downs on this set. I'm very blessed and lucky that I found one at retail. But yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag between the closed box, the fact that it barely shipped, you know, but I like that they're doing these reproductions. I know people have mixed feelings about them. All right, if you're looking, though, for something to do besides toy collecting, or while you're waiting for Target to open in the morning, be sure to stop by Amazon and pick up NioQuest. On sale now. It's amazing. It's written for you guys. It's written for movie, toy, pop culture fans. Believe me, you'll love it. I wrote it for you. I wrote it for the audience of this channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. See you guys in the next video.